What does it take to go from a small village in Dagestan to becoming one of the most dominant fighters the UFC has ever seen? Ask Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Ноги, смотри. О, четко. 10 секунд.
From wrestling bears as a kid to retiring as a champion who kept his promise to his mother, his path is unlike anything the sport has ever witnessed. But how did he turn that discipline into a legacy that still shapes MMA today? Well, let's uncover his story. Khabib Nurmagomedov's story begins in the mountains of Dagestan, a rugged region in southern Russia known for producing some of the toughest athletes in the world. He was born on September 20th, 1988, in the small village of Sildi, where life was simple but demanding. Growing up, he shared a home with his parents, his brother Magomed, and his sister Amina, along with cousins who often filled the house. That tight-knit family environment played a big role in shaping his discipline and determination. The real foundation of his career was built by his father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. Abdulmanap was a decorated athlete, a Soviet army veteran, and one of the most respected combat sambo coaches in Russia. He even turned the ground floor of their family home into a makeshift training gym where neighborhood kids came to learn and test themselves. For Khabib, this was where it all started. At just 8 years old, he began wrestling under his father's strict guidance. The training was intense, but it gave him a work ethic that would later separate him from almost every fighter he faced. By the time he was 9, he was already making headlines in local circles, thanks to that famous video of him wrestling a bear cub, a clip that would later go viral worldwide once he became a UFC star. Growing up in Dagestan, fighting was part of the culture. Wrestling, judo, and sambo were traditions passed down through generations. Khabib was surrounded by this environment from the very beginning, and those early years laid the groundwork for the dominance that would eventually shock the world. His path in martial arts was guided by his father, a pioneer for combat sports in Dagestan. A former judo and sambo competitor, as well as a Soviet army veteran, he carried both discipline and knowledge that few could match. He believed that structure, respect, and relentless work would turn ordinary kids into champions, and Khabib was his most dedicated student. From an early age, Khabib's training was strict. By 12, his wrestling was sharpened under his father's constant supervision. At 15, Abdulmanap introduced him to judo to expand his skill set and force him to adapt against different styles. Then at 17, he pushed him into combat sambo, the Russian martial art that combines wrestling, judo, and striking, skills that would later define Khabib inside the UFC. Every step in his development was carefully mapped out by Abdulmanap. What made their relationship so unique was the balance between father and coach. Abdulmanap demanded discipline at all times, whether it was early morning drills or sparring sessions that left Khabib exhausted. Yet he also taught patience and humility, reminding his son that talent only mattered if paired with responsibility. Training wasn't about beating an opponent, it was about building character. The results spoke for themselves. Khabib became a 2-time world champion in combat sambo, earning a reputation across Russia long before his UFC debut. Those victories were proof of Abdulmanap's vision. Under his father's guidance, he developed the foundation that would carry him to the very top of the sport and the values that would define his entire career. In September 2008, he stepped into professional mixed martial arts for the very first time. That debut came in Russia, and he wasted no time showing the world what years of sambo, wrestling, and judo could produce. He rattled off 4 victories in less than a month, including multiple first-round finishes, setting the tone for what would become an unstoppable career.
I mean, this guy finishes takedowns and not able to do that against Nurmagomedov. Unbelievable. I'm very, very impressed with this kid.
You saw the sprawl from Shalarush, but he ate another left hand, now working on a guillotine.
Nurmagomedov countering to the proper side, going to the...
One of his biggest early highlights came when he won the Atrium Cup tournament in Moscow, defeating 3 opponents in a single night. That same drive carried him into M1 Global, where he submitted Shabulat Shamhalayev, another rising talent, with a slick armbar that showed his skill was every bit as dangerous as his pressure. By 2011, Khabib had built an undefeated record of 16-0, and people started to take notice beyond Russia. Securing a UFC contract wasn't easy. There were disputes and battles over his Pro FC deal before he could officially make the jump. Yet when the ink finally dried on a 6-fight UFC contract, it opened the door for him to compete on the biggest stage in the world. This was a crucial turning point in his story. From training in a converted gym under his father to crushing opponents on the regional circuit, he was ready to test himself against the toughest fighters on the planet. The UFC was about to meet a competitor who had never known defeat and had no plans of ever tasting it. Khabib's UFC debut came in January 2012 against Kamal Shalorus, and he made it clear right away that he wasn't coming to just take part. He submitted Shalorus in the 3rd round, announcing his arrival on the world stage. From there, he began to build momentum with every fight, stacking victories that showed a style few could handle. One of the most talked about performances came in 2013 when he fought Abel Trujillo. That night, Khabib didn't just win, he mauled him with a record-breaking 21 takedowns, a number that still stands in the UFC record books. It wasn't flashy striking or knockout power that made him special, it was the suffocating pressure and constant grind that left opponents completely helpless. Fans started calling his approach mauling, and it became his trademark. He also picked up a huge win against Rafael dos Anjos in 2014, a former lightweight champion. That victory proved Khabib was already operating at the very top of the division. However, injuries slowed down his climb. Between knee issues and setbacks that kept him sidelined, many wondered if he would ever make it to a title fight. Yet every time he returned, his dominance was undeniable. By the time he had piled up victory after victory, he wasn't just another contender, but a fighter nobody wanted to face.
You know, Mark Coleman, when there was headbutts, just mean guys are just trying to beat the piss out of you, break your will, take you down, and then when they get in the position, hurt you, you know? It's the reason why I like Khabib. Khabib takes people down, and he's punching them in the face, and he's trying to submit them, and he's talking shit to him at the time you're supposed to talk shit during the fight.
His grappling pressure was on another level, and his undefeated record kept growing. The lightweight division had a problem on its hands, and everyone knew it was only a matter of time before Khabib got his shot at the gold. After years of grinding through opponents, Khabib finally got the moment he had been chasing. In April 2018, at UFC 223, he fought Ali Aquinta for the vacant lightweight championship. It wasn't the opponent he had originally prepared for. Fight week was chaos with last-minute changes, but none of that mattered once the cage door closed. Khabib dominated all 5 rounds, securing the belt and becoming the first Russian fighter to win a UFC title. As champion, he didn't slow down. His first defense came in the most high-profile fight of his career, UFC 229 against Conor McGregor. The build-up was explosive, with press conferences, trash talk, and worldwide attention. Inside the octagon, Khabib stayed composed, shutting down McGregor's offense and finishing the fight in the 4th round with a neck crank. The victory was huge, though the night became even more infamous because of the post-fight brawl, which led to fines and suspensions. Still, the statement was made, Khabib was the best lightweight in the world. Next came Dustin Poirier at UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi. Poirier was on a hot streak and seen as the toughest challenge yet. Khabib once again proved untouchable, smothering Poirier before submitting him with a rear naked choke in the 3rd round. With those victories, Khabib defended his title 3 times against elite opponents, leaving no doubt about his place in history. His reign at lightweight was absolute. No one ever truly came close to solving the puzzle he presented inside the cage. Then came his final fight. Then in 2020, at UFC 254, he faced Justin Gaethje, a fighter known for his knockout power. What most fans didn't know that night was how much he was carrying with him. Earlier that year, his father and lifelong coach, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, had passed away due to complications from COVID-19. For Khabib, stepping into the octagon without the man who had shaped his entire career was the hardest challenge of all. When the fight began, Khabib showed no hesitation. He pressed Gaethje from the start, mixing striking with relentless grappling pressure. In the 2nd round, he locked in a triangle choke, forcing the tap and securing his 29th straight victory. It was another masterclass performance, but the moment after the fight is what defined his legacy even more. Khabib dropped to his knees, overcome with emotion, knowing he had just competed for the last time. In his post-fight interview, he shocked the world by announcing his retirement on the spot.
Thank you. Today, I want to say it was my last fight. And no way I'm gonna come here without my father.
He revealed that he had promised his mother he would not continue fighting without his father by his side. Honoring that promise meant walking away at the very top of the sport, undefeated, with the lightweight title still around his waist. For fighters, retiring undefeated at the highest level is almost unheard of. Khabib did it not because he had to, but because family and faith guided every decision he made. That night in Abu Dhabi, he closed a chapter on one of the greatest careers in mixed martial arts history. Then he shifted into a new role, guiding the next generation of fighters. The lessons he learned from his father became the same lessons he now passed on. Fighters like Islam Makhachev, Umar Nurmagomedov, and others from Dagestan trained under his watchful eye, and many of them have gone on to shine on the world stage. Islam's rise to becoming UFC Lightweight Champion is the clearest example of Khabib's influence as a coach. His presence in the corner, giving calm and direct instructions, shows how deeply he understands every detail of the fight game.
На голову правую ногу надо поставить. Правую ногу на голову. Да, да. Осторожно. Не спеши, осторожно.
Beyond coaching, he also invested in building opportunities for young athletes. In 2020, he acquired Guerrilla Fighting Championship and rebranded it as Eagle Fighting Championship. The goal was clear: create a platform where fighters from Russia, the Middle East, and beyond could showcase their talent. Under his leadership, EFC has grown into a respected promotion, giving many prospects the chance to compete professionally and develop their careers. Khabib has also branched out into other ventures, from business projects to endorsements, yet his heart remains in the gym. He's often seen traveling with his team, preparing them for big fights and carrying on the legacy of discipline and respect instilled by Abdulmanap. What's striking is that he doesn't just train fighters to win, he emphasizes how they should carry themselves outside the cage, focusing on values that go beyond competition. In retirement, he proved that his impact wasn't limited to his own fights. By becoming a mentor, a promoter, and a leader, he ensured that his influence on mixed martial arts would continue long after his final walk to the octagon. And that's it. So now to you, what do you think? When we look back decades from now, will Khabib Nurmagomedov be remembered as the greatest lightweight of all time, or as the fighter who redefined what it means to retire undefeated at the very top? Comment down below, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one. Also, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out our video of Khamzat Chimaev.